What do you do about the white steric spots that you get in your soap? Let's take a look at that. Hey guys, John Conley here, UncleJohnSoap.com. So, saw somebody on one of the soap groups on Facebook post a picture of her soap the other day, and I'm going to try to find it and put it here. But if I can't find it, we're going to talk about basically steric spots. And I don't think these are steric spots. This is a honey and oats bar, but you see the little white dots? It could be, but I think that's more to do with the oats and the honey and things like that. But I don't have any soaps with actual like obvious steric spots in them right now. And basically the steric spots are sometimes steric, like acid from the oils that you're using in your soaps, and they'll turn up as like white freckles on your soap when you cut it. Sometimes it's from air, believe it or not. And the lady basically, touch my face again. The lady basically had just bought a new stick blender, and her spots started disappearing. And she asked about it on the group. So what happens is, and we found this a long time ago, a lot of times when you have a mixer head, it starts out great when it's brand new, everything works fine. After a while of using it, if as long as the motor holds out, which ours, we've never killed a motor. It's amazing. People talk about burning up motors, and we've never burned up a motor. They get a little slow or a little weird, but they always keep going. We kill the mixer heads quicker than anything. What happens is you have bushings in each end. There's a shaft that goes all the way through that holds your cutter head or your mixer head, and there are bushings. So if you look, you can see the big wide gray washer looking thing, and then there's a dark black bushing, grommet, washer, whatever, right around the shaft itself where this shaft turns. What happens is after a while, you're dealing with running it constantly, that wears it out. We're in caustic chemicals, the lye and everything, washing it constantly, washing rubber and letting it dry out over and over and over and over again. It's going to wear stuff out. So what happens is that bushing gets loose, and it allows fluid to get up in there just a little bit and then back out, and it creates air bubbles in your soap. So it gets real frothy and everything. So if you're starting to get those air bubbles in your soap or the white steric spots like crazy, those are two things that I'd check out. I would look at this. Basically, if you can rattle it side to side this way, definitely done. Up and down, there's a little bit of wiggle room. This one's still okay, but I could see where soon it is starting to make some weird noises, and some of it could just be the gearing in here, where when you click it in and it locks onto that shaft, that may be starting to wear out a little bit. But that is definitely something I would check out. Also, on that same post, a couple of people were talking about the different blades and the different mixers, and they seem to think that the blade design itself might be putting air in, and it could. But most of the time, when you're going Cuisinart to Cuisinart, even cheap to expensive Cuisinarts, I've found that most of the time the blade itself is not the culprit putting air in. Now, if you put this straight down into your solution, you may get air bubbles for the first couple minutes of mixing. And part of that's because you're trapping air. If you've ever taken a cup, or, when you play with your bathtub toys and you took your bucket and put it down in the water, the air bubble would stay up in there until you turned it and burped it. So what I usually do is when I stick this down in the soap batter, I'll make sure this slot faces up, and I will give it a tip, and that will lose 90% of the air, and then start running it at that angle and then bring it back up. So I'll get a couple bubbles, but then they work out pretty easily. So, yep, just a quick tip, guys. Pay attention to that cutter. If it starts getting a little rattly, like this one moves just a touch. I mean, honestly, I don't think it moves much looser than it did when it was brand new, but that's something to keep an eye on. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions or concerns about your mixer or anything else, if you need more detail on anything. And as always, if you have any ideas for future videos, leave those in the comments too. See ya.